Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Islamic Only podcast. So, I didn't think I would have to make this video, to be honest. So, over the last few months, I've noticed that in the Muslim community, there is this problem that we don't often talk about, which is the problem of backbiting and slandering. Now, over the past few months, I myself have been slandered and backbitten by other fellow Muslims who I trusted. So it really put things into perspective for me. So I wanted to make a video where I want to make it clear, not just for my Muslim brothers and sisters, but also for myself, to make it clear why it is haram to slander someone or to backbite someone. Now, when we think about these terms, we usually take it as given. We don't give it much thought. But slandering and backbiting has horrible effects in society. And so I'm going to read some hadith from the Prophet ﷺ, which emphasizes why slander is haram. So there's a few hadith which makes it clear. For example, there's one hadith in Sahih Bukhari which says 6484, narrated Abdullah bin Amr, the Prophet said, "A Muslim is the one who avoids harming Muslims with his tongue or his hands, and a mujahid, an immigrant, is the one who gives up, abandons all what Allah has forbidden." Now, what the Prophet is emphasizing is that the role of a Muslim is not to hurt anyone. A role of a Muslim a Muslim is someone who does not harm people either physically or with their tongue, meaning when they say something or saying something hurtful to another person. So this is definitely haram. Hurting someone's feeling or saying hurtful things is haram. So when we speak, we have to be very careful. There's another hadith, this is also in Sahih Bukhari, 6858. It says the following: I heard Abi al-Qasim, the Prophet, saying, "If somebody slanders his slave and the slave is free from what he says, he will be flogged on the day of resurrection unless the slave is really as he has described him." You can read about this in Sahih Bukhari, 6858. So here we see slandering is such a horrible thing that even if you do it against your slave, you will be punished by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's how serious this is. So, brothers and sisters, this is something we have to keep in mind. Okay? Slandering is not a joke. Okay? It's not. Oftentimes what happens is that, and this is a reminder to myself as well, right? Because I also may say something against another brother who may be upset. So I should take my own advice as well. So this is an advice to myself as well, which is that we have to be careful not to hurt other people's feelings. And I see this a lot among the Muslims. We just casually talk about things. We just casually joke about another person without any care for how they may feel. Or we may talk about, criticize certain figures without, thinking about how they may feel. Now, if a certain figure is actually doing something wrong and it is done in a respectful way, then that's understandable. But if it's done in a disgusting manner, where you're just insulting him, mocking him, calling him names, then that is absolutely unacceptable. So, there are more hadith which emphasizes what will happen to someone who slanders or spread gossip even. So, passed by two graves, he said, "These two are being punished, and they are not being punished for something major. As for this one, he would not protect himself from his urine. As for this one, he used to spread namima, which means gossip or slander." You can remember this in Jami al-Tirmidhi 70. So here we can see that we will be punished if we slander or spread gossip about people, right? Another hadith says, Abu Hurairah said, the Messenger of Allah was asked, Messenger of Allah, what is backbiting? He replied, it is saying something about your brother which he would dislike. He was asked again, tell me how the matter stands if what I say about my brother is true. He replied, if what you say of him is true, you have slandered him, and if what you say of him is not true, you have reviled him. You can read about this in Sunan Abi Dawud, 4874. This has been graded as Sahih by Sheikh Albani. So from this hadith, one thing is clear, which is that in Islam, backbiting or slandering isn't simply that. It's not just that you lie about someone, right? So for example, in the English language, slander usually means when you lie about someone against someone's back. But in Islam, it's not just that you lie about someone. Slander also means when you tell the truth, right? Even if you have told the truth about someone and that is hurtful for him, then that is slander. And that is haram, that is not allowed. And if you say something that is a lie, that's even worse. So, yeah. Now the reason I'm talking about this, you may think, what's the harm in talking about other people? What's the harm in saying something negative about other people? See, one of the things that we have a problem in this community, which is that we always think we're the heroes of the story, right? So what happens is that we think that we're criticizing someone who we think that absolutely deserves it, but we have no idea what that person is going through or what that person may want to try to convey. We don't know, but we criticize him and we think we are doing the right thing. But in reality, in many cases, we're just hurting the other person without trying to reach out to them, right? Or we may do it even without realizing, right? And this is a real danger because there's a very, very gray line between properly criticizing someone and slandering someone. And we oftentimes cross this line without realizing. Yes, sometimes when, let's say, a very celebrity sheikh or imam may say something, against the common interest of the Muslim people, or even against other scholarly opinions, right? We're well within our right to criticize his opinion, but we have to make it clear that we're not saying it in a way that hurts the sheikh or the scholar or the leader or the other person. And we have to make it sure that we don't say it in a vulgar manner. It has to be respectful and humble. And if he takes it, he takes it. If he doesn't, he doesn't, right? But it can be like some kind of vendetta against that person. Our criticism should be against their idea, not against the person, okay? And this is a very hard balance to reach, especially online. Sometimes some scholars may say something that we may find, repulsive. I think the first thing we should do is try to advise them in a very respectful manner. But if they continue to do it, that's a different story. There are people who continue to do things like this even after being advised. That's a different story. But if someone is doing something for the first time and they don't have a history of doing things like this, then the language should be, it should be humble. Let's talk about why this slandering thing is so bad. There have been multiple studies over the last few years which shows that when it comes to younger kids, one of the main reasons of their suicide is online harassment. So there is one article in Medscape which says the following: online bullying of adolescents is linked to an increased risk for suicidal thoughts and actions. Results of a large review shows a study of more than 96,000 children and adolescents shows that nearly 9% were victims of cyberbullying. In addition, the risk for suicidal thoughts was 12 times greater in those who were cyberbullied than those who are not. You can read about this in Medscape. So basically what this study shows is that a lot of these kids who face online harassment or cyberbullying, they have suicidal tendencies, or they oftentimes try to take their own life or harm themselves. And this is horrible. Now, one thing you need to understand is that this shows the effect of slandering, right? Or backbiting. Because this happens in online sphere all the time. Like you may talk about someone, some kid may do something stupid on video or something, and you just absolutely go and like lampoon him, insult him, mock him. And what ends up happening is a lot of these kids fall into depression. A lot of these kids try to even commit suicide. And this shows why slandering is such a horrible thing. It destroys society. It literally kills children, right? Even though we may think that we're not harming or doing anything wrong, this is literally destroying societies, right? It is destroying people's lives. I mean, what's going to happen to the parents, right, of these kids who killed themselves because they couldn't take it anymore? And this all starts from slander, or slander and backbiting or tale-bearing are some of the things that leads to this type of situations. Another study also, by the way, this is not just kids. Another study shows that this can also happen to adults. For example, just a few days ago, I think one Twitch streamer committed suicide, and I'm not talking about non-Muslims. I'm showing how this is affecting them. One Twitch streamer committed suicide because of the harassment she received.
On February 5th, Korean streamer BJ Jammy's uncle informed fans via a statement that Jammy has taken her own life. BJ Jammy, whose real name was Jungmi, was swarmed with malicious comments after an infamous YouTuber named PPKKA called her out. This resulted in Jammy's accounts being flooded with horrible hate comments. Jammy's mother had taken her own life after seeing the comments her daughter had been receiving, and it's been reported that Jammy's depression became worse after that, which is only understandable. These malicious comments didn't help her mental health and were the reason behind her passing, according to her uncle.
Again, this is all starting from slander. This is all starting from backbiting, right? It's almost like this is worse than like words can be as powerful as a weapon, right? It can hurt as much as a bullet. And this news shows that, like a few days ago in Korea, a popular streamer committed suicide because she was getting a lot of hate, and I think her mother also committed suicide as a result of it. It's just a horrible situation. But what this shows is that what people say online has an effect. It has an effect on people, and this again reflects onto the advice of the Prophet ﷺ. If you speak lies about someone, you are reviling them. And, and if you tell the truth, you're slandering them, right? And as Muslims, we're not allowed to do this, okay? We're not allowed to do this. And this is how slandering and backbiting destroys societies. It creates conflict between people. It's toxic, it's disgusting. And it should be banned. and it is wrong, it is bad. And so we Muslims should stay away from it the best we can. Sometimes it's just something that you can't avoid. But still, we should try our best to stay away from slandering and stay away from backbiting. Because this is not good. This hurts people. In many cases, this even destroys people's careers. Like, the message of this video is that don't backbite, don't slander. If you want to criticize someone, do it in a respectful manner. If you have a disagreement with someone, do it in a respectful manner, in a humble manner. Follow the advice of the Prophet ﷺ, and do not be like these people who are literally driving other people to their deaths. Don't be like that. And with this, I want to end this video. Thank you guys for watching. Inshallah, my next video or activity will be my debate with Tom from T-Jump. I think his name is. He's an atheist. Should be a fun debate. Inshallah, it will happen in a few days. Don't miss that. And yeah, with this, I want to end this video. Thank you guys for watching. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.